in here. Hill of Blades Ash. We were talking about that, and I know you're telling me that you've been seeing this a little bit with Immortal Shield Bow and Wit's End coming out.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. The Wit End definitely a very good itemization choice for Rise Go in this game, especially considering a lot of the magic damage that they have in their mid bot lane area for One Life to play. Yeah, so definitely an interesting item to pick up there for Rysgo. And the build basically works in the fact that the Hail of Blades really increases your early laning prowess. Getting those volleys in with the autos will make the slows go through even more. So it'll be interesting to see how this one pops up. RMC. I'm not entirely sure how this one goes, just because it's been a recent innovation here on to this Ash. But starting off, both of the junglers will be on the bot sides, which means might see some spicy action in the top side scuttle.
Yeah, and topside is an interesting choice to gank here because there is actually kill threat. Renekton is picked as a lane bully, and that's why he often does get picked blind here. And Tom Kench has been the flavor of the month for the last month or so, pretty much here. So there is definitely kill threat. I think from the side of onto the Knicks, it makes a lot of sense. But I'm a little bit surprised that 1Life2Play isn't trying to play around this bot side because while sure your Tom Kench might be able to kill Renekton, I think Swain Set has a lot more kill potential down in the bot lane here. So we'll have to see how it plays out. And of course, these two mid laners, Orianna, Seraphine, I don't think we're going to see a ton of early pressure because they're just such safe laners.
Well, we're seeing the first of what's probably going to be a lot of heavy CC trades down here in the bottom lane. Level 2 hit first for the side of onto the next as the Ashe and Leona will go forward. Panud actually losing out on the push up here in the top side, ceding some of that early pressure to Senor Ice to start things off. Just shows kind of how powerful the Tahm Kench is once in these early levels, beating out a Renekton.
And it's not like Panut's going to want to shove out right now either. When you know that your jungler's coming up there, you're okay to let the Tahm Kench shove into you and then maybe set up a bit of a counter gank from the Nocturne. Not to mention, you have the Nocturne, who's not necessarily the best duelist early either. So it is okay. I like the ward that got put down by Senior Ice, though. That definitely helps prevent some of that ganks. Bot side,
Oh, there's a tennis play forward from Marco, but he's going in under the turret. Haymaker's going to go out, but got to take our attention back to the top side because Conquer has been procced here by Panu. Going to slice and dice out. Marco gets out with about 250 HP, so not the end of the world here for the onto the next bot lane, but not the best trade that you want to have, especially with the wave in the state that it is right now.
No, you know what? I've said this before, Graves. This season, directed camera must be a top laner, constantly cutting away from the bot lane. Come on, Tahm Kench and Renekton aren't going to kill each other solo.
Oh, well, let's see what happens here. But looks like the junglers are also going at it here. Mr. Steal Your Gromp going for a bit of an invade here onto the Pursue Greatness. Conquer has been procced by the Viego, and Neural Network is making his way up as well. Canute is in a tough situation. Wave is shoving in, and with the prio in favor of 1Life2Play up in that top side jungle, it's going to be difficult for him to try and shove in.
Now, I would like to point out on that jungle invade, Mr. Steal Your Gomp failed to live up to his name, did not actually steal his gomp. That's a win for Pursue Greatness right now. But both of them do kind of reset. And you're seeing that Viego pressure come through. That's a little bit scary, especially when there is a sort of supportive mid laner to back up this Viego. He'll be trading for the mid laners, both of them out of mana though, and they're probably going to back off. Both of them have teleport, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them back, buy items, come back, and get right back to it.
While RMC, while the Gromp hat wasn't not stolen by the 1Life2Play jungler, it did lead to enough pressure to go for that double crab and potentially gank here in the mid lane as well. The miss comes out. When I get there, knows better than to go forward. End up going just a little bit back, and now Mr. Steeler Gromp has a whole lot of pressure in the jungle of onto the next, going for some aggressive invades, getting some good vision out, and setting the early pressure here in this game. But another engage here into the bot side. Rocco going forward, going to land the shield of Daybreak onto Boomer, who's forced to flash away, but Rysgo is going forward. Doesn't care that Fox is behind him. One more auto will do it, and first blood is secured for onto the next as Rysgo picks it up.
I want to say that's why you take Yellow Blades, but that was a pretty extended trade. Great Ignite from Rocco, though, early denies half that healing from that heal for Boomer. So Boomer ends up going down early, and that's not what you want to see. Now, Mr. Steel Grump trying to turn the tides. They get the pull.
Yeah, Pursue Greatness left, and that means that Rysgo is left out to dry. Neural Network coming in with the teleport as well. They want more. Gonna dash forward with that ability. Rocco forced to use that flash out. So just a trade of summoner spells here. Both sums on the mid laner for 1Life2Play is gone just for that flash onto Rocco. Dragon has spawned here. It will be that Infernal, and it looks like 1Life2Play will use the pressure that they garnered in the bot side to pick that one up.
Good recovery from 1Life2Play because they sent their mid laner down, and Neuro didn't even get an assist, unfortunately, here. Great flash from Rarko. Great angle to flash from Rarko to stay alive. So 1Life2Play picking up the Dragon is really neutralizing things. That's it. It is Inferno here, Grapes, and there's only going to be one of them. So added damage, always going to be nice. Second Drake is Mountain. And rarely do I say that Cloud Drake is a great Drake, but I do feel like Cloud's actually going to be really good for both of these teams because both teams like to play around their ultimates, and having that additional bit of mobility can be the difference between a successful engage or a successful disengage.
Oh man, the more Renekton ults, the more Nocturne ults, shockwaves, arrows, solar flares, encores, everything, the more I can see, the better. But a trade in the top lane as the ultimates have gone back and forth. Panut was bit out under the turret, but will be able to pop the Dominus to stay alive. And now Pursuit of Greatness is here as well. No Paranoia available, but the Abyssal Dive.
Oh no!
Senor Ice did not see this coming, and Panut will punish it alongside his jungler. The top side for onto the next, picks up another kill.
The timing of that was so unfortunate. Just as he takes the Abyssal Voyage, that's when Pursuit poked his head out. And now Pursuit Greatness is level 6. Nocturne, the first ultimate often is the most impactful here. Your top lane is winning now. Your bot lane, we'll call it winning-ish for now. And your mid lane's winning. So it feels like Pursuit Greatness is being set up for success here. There's kill pressure in all 3 lanes.
And we'll see what Pursue Greatness can do. Was put a bit behind early on, as Mr. Steeler Grump did end up getting that double Scuttle Crab to start things off, but it has recovered nicely, sitting at about even CS with the enemy jungler and working towards what appears to be a stride breaker to start off this game. We were talking about the potential for a lethality build to come out from this Nocturne. Doesn't look like it's going to happen here.
Yeah, we'll have to see what he actually ends up going. I mean, the usual is, I believe it's the stride breaker for the Nocturne because he's got an easy engage. You apply the slow. Nothing wrong with that either. It's still a pretty strong build. And it'll be interesting to see if he can still one-shot the backline carries quick enough here. Because if you take out that Seraphine, like we said, she is the great disengager here for the team. Now, we do see both junglers hovering bot side a little bit. And keep in mind that while Pursuit Greatness looks further, Paranoia still on the table.
Yeah, and there it goes. Turn off the lights and head to the mid lane. No shockwave available, but it's not going to matter. When I get there, going to finish off the kill onto the neural network. That encore was just too late. As you said, RMC, that Paranoia, the first one, always the most impactful.
Yeah, interesting that they decide to throw it into the mid lane here. They're doubling down. They're making sure when I get there, continues to be a hit. And keep in mind that this is a Seraphine. She doesn't need the most gold to be effective, but she does need at least enough gold to stay even in the lane here. Eyes need to be kept on the bot lane as well, because forward side up onto the Nyx, Rice-Go just hit level 6. Enchanted Crystal Arrow is available now, and when that Leona hits 6 as well, there's a lot of kill threat there. Panut
does have to be careful. Has the flash, has the dominance at the ready, but a beautiful blast cone out. The Croc gets away with his life. No meteor going to come in and send the Dino extinct yet.
Okay, I thought they'd go for Herald right there, having push Panut back. There's no TP available for the Renekton either, but Mr. Studio Gromp goes back to his jungle. They're going to farm this up. It's a good play. It's a heads-up play. You want to try and set this Renekton back a little bit here so that Tom can get back into it. And a really strong play from Panut. Panut didn't even have to burn Flash. So this top lane, still very safe for onto the Nyx. And I suspect we're going to see more focus this game on Dragons than Heralds.
Yeah, and with that said, topside focus still is here for the onto the next squad, as Pursue Greatness is just here to pressure off Senor Ice, maybe stop a back or two. But as you said, that second dragon of the game is coming up in about 1 minute and 10 seconds. It will be that Mountain Drake. This is going to be an important Drake for both of these teams, especially early on into the game. You can argue that the defensiveness on a lot of these champions is really high. So just adding those resistances even more, definitely going to be valuable.
And when this dragon comes up here, Grapes, I'm curious to see exactly how the fight breaks out, because both teams have so many team fight tools available to them. I feel like onto the Nyx have better proactive tools. Oh, and they actually, speaking of those tools, they fired the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. It misses. The cooldown at rank 1 is roughly about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes here. So it's actually not going to be up for that dragon.
Yeah, interesting play there. If they did get the pick onto the mid laner, would have been big, but instead it will just be Rice-Go without the ultimate, and there goes 2 more, make it 3 more. Pursue Greatness with the Paranoia will dash forward, and Neural Network will fall here. Only 1 ultimate available for onto the next, but it's not going to matter in a 4v5. They probably have the prior on this dragon.
Grapes, the kill is great, but Pursue Greatness just lost the Eye of the Herald for it. He didn't pick it up. He
Wait.
did Herald and he didn't pick it up.
Huh. That is peculiar, and it actually ends up being pursued great, and is headed over back to that top side, maybe to try to retrieve what was lost to him. But in the top side, have to pay attention here. That's the Devour onto Panute. Abyssal Dive as well. Panute's gonna have to pop the dominance, and your Ice winning out on these trades. The flash and the tongue. That's the Tom Kench damage for you. Panute goes down, and actually, Mr. Steel Grump and the rest of One Life to Play will pick up their second drag of the game.
Yeah, completely uncontested at that here. And the vision right now, Grapes, the vision is the issue. Look at what 1Life2Play set up for the Dragon before they took it. There wasn't anything that Onto the Nyx could see. And I think they just weren't tracking the Dragon timers quite as closely here. They end up giving it up. And now Cloud Soul is available, Grapes. And while sure, Onto the Nyx did give up first two Drakes, if they stack 4 Cloud Souls, it's gonna be worth it for them. They're gonna be able to engage that many more times. They'll be able to throw out those enchanted crystal arrows almost like it's a basic ability.
Yeah, and Cloud Soul is just so good, as we said before, onto this team. And we'll see as the ultimate goes through here from both of the members of the bot lane for onto the next. Boomer the Walrus does have the demonic ascension on him. The healing will save his life for now. Fox is looking forward, has the face showstopper, has the flash. Not going to end up using it just yet. So looks like a bit of a trade here down in the bot side. And in terms of everything, while the Dragon lead is in favor of 1Life2Play, it is on to the next with a 2k gold lead.
Yeah, and that 2,000 gold at 12 minutes is pretty significant here. I'm watching for your mythics as well, because all the gold only matters if you're actually buying items with it. Panute very far up, and how did Mr. Studio Grump get in there?
I don't know, but there he is into that bush, and doesn't look like a fair fight here. The Heartbreaker forward will secure the kill up in the top side, and Panute falls in once again.
They're trying to answer on the bot lane here. When I get there is here as well. No TP available for Neural Network, and Pursue Greatness has Paranoia. Are they going to look for the dive here?
Oh, they might try. Teleport coming forward from Senor Ice, but it might just be too late. Haymaker buys a decent number down of time, but Boomer the Walrus is already down, and so is Fox. It's now just the Frog under the tower and facing 4 members of Onto the Next. Is it tanky Tom Kench, but will he be able to get out of here? Another teleport forward from Panute as well. He has not died just yet, and he gets the kill onto When I Get There. Senor Ice going crazy here. Teleport comes forward from Panute as well. He's winning this 1v5 onto the tower, and he's bought enough time for Mr. Steeler Grump to come in here. Reset City could be available here for the Viego. They're going to try and lock down the Tom Kench, but that's the first possession available. Onto Mr. Steeler Grump, turning into Leona, dashing forward, double kill onto the Viego, looking for that third kill. Will dash forward with the Blade of the Ruined King. That's just a beautiful sequence here for 1Life2Play, and all of a sudden they're right back ahead in this game.
An absolute slaughter here from 1Life2Play, and this isn't even the way their composition necessarily wants to work. We talked about the fact that with that Seraphine, with that Swain, 1Life2Play wants to let you engage into them. They want to counter engage you. Bot lane had nothing to do with that. That was simply Senor Ice outplaying 5 members trying to dive him, and this is why Tom Kench is so broken right now. Onto the Nyx has to think twice before they make these plays. The initial dive onto Boomer, onto Fox, that's solid, but Senor Ice, that man has ice in his veins.
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel like you just can't dive a Tom Kench in the state that he is in right now. Working towards that Anathemas change, going for potentially that Thornmail, or maybe a different mythic coming out as well. Just so tanky already, has basically 2 health bars with the thick skin as well. And you saw what happened there, RMC. Bought enough time under the tower. 5 members of Onto the Next could not take him down. And once Mr. Steelier Gromp came in there, it was just game over.
Well, Grapes, we're at almost the 15-minute marks, and no turrets have fallen. All plates are gone right now. And I want to reassess what the teams want to do, because Onto the Nyx have found their leads in the lane. A lot of their Nocturne's Paranoia here, being able to wander to the lanes, find isolated targets, get picks here. But they do also have the Ashley Leona combo that we talked about with that Orianna ball. So they are just generally an all-round composition who can do everything and anything. 1Life2Play played very well to close the gap, but they don't want to keep laning. They want to start grouping up here because they have a good engage comp. Boomer getting caught again.
Demonic Ascension has been popped, but there's a Solar Flare as well. Good healing coming out from the Swain, but it's not enough. Rarko will be the one to pick up the killing blow. And once again, Boomer will fall here in the bot side. Pursuit of Greatness is looking for another kill. That's the Q forward. Neural Network falls another time here. Everyone in the bot side for 1Life2Play not doing so hot, but Mr. Steeler, Gromp, and Senor Ice are both available with this Cloud Drake spawning.
True. All the kills are concentrated on the top side. And this is why 1Life2Play needs to start grouping up here. It nullifies a lot of that paranoia strength. It nullifies a lot of the pick potential. And those 4 ultimates are actually all down as Dragon spawn. So even though onto the Nyx won those picks, they're actually not in a great position to try and take this 3rd Dragon right now.
Yeah, because Mr. Shield, Gromp, and Senor Ice are coming down here. Dissonance will slow down the 2 strongest members here of this team. But now Neural Network is here as well. Has that Encore. Whole lot of members grouped up for on to the next. They have to be careful. Dragon was not actually secured. Abyssal dive forward here for Senor Ice. It looks like 1Life2Play want to take this fight. No paranoia available. Remember, on to the next. Use a lot of their crucial ultimates to get the 2 picks to start this whole dance off. But now, without the cooldowns, just going to be 1Life2Play starting this one up. On to the next. Do not want to give up this soul point. They want to look for some sort of engage. Rocco going to go forward with the engage, but a big shockwave forward from when I get there as well. Mr. Steeler Gromp picks up his first kill, his first possession, and the Viego has to be watched here in this fight. 3 kills already, making forward. Double kill for Mr. Steeler Gromp. A triple kill for Mr. Steeler Gromp. Just kidding. It's Fox that ends up securing that one. A clean ace, 5 for 1. Picked up for 1Life2Play, and what a comeback for them onto the backs of Mr. Steeler Gromp and Senor Ice.
And Soul Point, Grapes. They are on Soul Point for 1Life2Play. They've got great skilling as well with the Seraphine, with the Viego, with the Swain. And it's their turn to pick up Herald. I was going to say Baron, but we're not at the 20-minute mark yet. This time, hopefully, they remember to pick up the Eye of the Herald. And 1Life2Play, they are ready. They are set to go. And I want to go back to how that fight started, because it was onto the Nyx getting 2 picks. They set up for the Dragon, but they had no vision. When they got forced out, they had to walk in blind. And sure, Rarko, great engage. The shockwave to follow up, though, didn't really catch everybody. And that Encore, that Seraphine we talked about, that R5 pick, 5-man Encore caught everyone. And there just wasn't the follow-up onto that Leona engage.
Rift Herald was picked up as well here for 1Life2Play. This time, the eye was secured, so no misclicks coming through here. And I really like picking up a Rift Herald here, even though it's the second Rift Herald, just because of the nature of the team composition that 1Life2Play have. They kind of want to go for some sort of death ball composition. They like it when everybody's grouped up as 5. And if you just stand 5 mid, proc that Rift Herald, and just march forward, there's really nothing that On to the Next can really do.
No, not at all. I mean, they can look for a counter engage, and maybe that's about all you can do. But even if they want to counter engage, I'd like to see the vision down so that Pursue Greatness can dive the back line. And one other thing we should note right now, Anathema's Chain picked up by Senor Ice on this Tahm Kench. Now, normally with Anathema's Chain, you've got 2 options. If you're split pushing, you put it on your lane opponent, and then you try and drag them to the side lane, and you try and win it that way. The alternative is, especially into a composition which is lacking in either magic or physical, you put it on the one target. So he could put it on when I get there if they're looking for team fights. For now, though, it's on Panut, so Senor Ice is looking to split push.
Yep, Rarko also has that Anathema's Chains. It is on the Viego, so just generally a good idea to reduce the damage of the strongest member in the game. Interestingly enough, does have that Serpent's Fang in his inventory. You typically don't see lethality on this Viego, but seems like that they think that the shield reduction is going to be super important, and we'll see what happens here, because it looks like Mr. Steeler Gromp and Your Eyes are going for a play here onto this top side. The Devour under the tower already used. Mr. Steeler Gromp is here as well, gonna flash forward, get the Heartbreaker in. Now Legendary on the Viego, and hey, they have a Rift Herald here to get some more.
Oh, they don't quite get the first third there. Yeah, I was watching Rise go try and go for that bot side, and you can see that Boomer this time was respecting the bot lane, knowing that the dive could come through. So they get first turret, but they're gonna lose 2 in the top lane. And if you're 1Life2Play, you take that trade. You've opened the map up more for your team here. You've got a bit more pressure, and it's on that important Baron side of the map as well.
Hey, Shirley's still alive.
Oh my goodness, no way.
5 seconds until he respawns. Mr. Steeler Gromp's going for this. This is a great play from them. They get the dive in the top side, pick up 3 towers with that second Rift Herald, but now it looks like onto the next. Looking for a response here. Beautiful 2-man Shockwave. Pursued next already picks up the first kill as Neural Network goes down. But Fox is here, and the teleport coming forward from Senor Ice. They will sacrifice Rarko. Arrow coming through, but here comes the Viego. Mr. Steeler Gromp does not have that Heartbreaker just yet. Teleport going to come in from Panute to deter any sort of re-engage. So big, looked like a good play coming out of the dive for onto the next. Just ended up being a 1-for-1.
Feels a little bit forced there from onto the Knicks, and I understand why that's the case, right? You've lost the last couple of fights. You're looking to reestablish your dominance on the map, and you've just lost the entire top side of your map. The gold lead has now swung in favor of 1Life2Play, so you're trying to answer back, but diving between turrets, and again, we said, Tom Kench, you know, kind of a risky one. You lost track of where Senior Ice was, and he managed to come back in. Another important thing to note is look at the ultimates that they had to use. Once again, onto the Knicks burnt everything on those particular dives. And for 1Life2Play, sure, Neuro went down, but Encore wasn't used, got burst too quickly here. And so 1Life2Play, if they wanted to, could threaten Baron. They've got the vision for it, but it looks like they're still looking to try and pick up that the Cloud Soul, first before they look at that Baron.
I'm just hoping, RMC, that please, onto the next, do not use any of your ultimates until this dragon spawns. I mean, it's happened twice in a row, I think, and both times it's not worked out for you guys. So you gotta just make sure, hold the cooldowns. I know some of these targets might look juicy. R button is more important for this dragon.
Definitely. And for the next fight, Grapes, my eyes are Neural Network. If Neural Network gets another 5-man Encore, they win the fight just as handily. And if they win a fight here with an ace, they get Baron, they get to push, maybe even end, because that top side has an open inhib right now. So eyes on this Seraphine. Can onto the Knicks find their way into this back line?
Well, that Crucial Dragon has just spawned. Could be that Cloud Soul for 1Life2Play. And they've already caught the Panute. Pops the Dominance. Is a pretty tanky Croc. Watch the Encore. Is going to hit 3 members. Panute goes down to start off this fight. And the Tom Kench is just so tanky. Diving into the back line. Rizgo looking for something. Big Shockwave coming out from when I get there. But it doesn't matter just yet. A huge Nevermore from the side of Boomer. Making sure that nobody on the side of onto the next will be able to move. Picks up the Quadra kill, picks up the ace. They're gonna pick up the soul. They're gonna pick up the Baron.
Yeah, this was exactly my worst fears come through right now for the side of onto the Knicks here, Grapes. And it wasn't even like they misplayed that terribly. They got the priority into the river, and it was Panute getting picked. Panute's their tankiest member, probably tankier than Rarko right now, but they could not find the Seraphine. And sure, Encore didn't hit 5, but it hit 3. It hit critical members, and more importantly, they were trying to kill Fox and Senior Ice, the 2 tankiest members of 1Life2Play, who can sit there. Boomer didn't even have to pop his stopwatch to stay alive in that fight. And now that they've got Soul, now that they've got Baron, 1Life2Play, this map is your oyster.
Huge influx of gold coming through from 1Life2Play. They were down a significant amount, maybe 2,000 or 3,000, just about 10 to 12 minutes ago. But they've made their comeback. They've picked up such crucial buffs in this Cloud Soul and this Baron. And I mean, this is a very scary situation for onto the next, who had some of the early game tempo that we were talking about in terms of their playstyle, but now are definitely on the outside looking in this game 1.
Yeah, and they've just got to try and defend for now, Grapes. Because you might be on the outside, but you're actually kind of the inside looking out, watching as the tide coming at you with the Baron buff right now. You can't defend your outer turrets. So it's a matter of trying to pick your fights and maybe, you know, how much you want to surrender here. Maybe you look on the pick for that 4-1 split push. Mr. Steelio Gromp is the bot lane. He's got no TP here. You can look to try and force a play with the numbers advantage. You'll lose a turret, but if you can kill people, you slow down this Baron buff.
The only thing is, we've seen this team use all their ultimates in a row onto just one person. Doesn't end up working. Onto the next, just doesn't seem to have a lot of damage, and we're gonna see this right here. Paranoia pop, but you can't turn off the lights if you're already in the stomach of the Tom Kench. Nocturne already goes down, and there's the Encore to pick up the kill onto Rarko. Is gonna catch Rizgo as well. The shield blow has been popped. Heartbreaker forward, level 16 now onto the Viego. Another kill goes in onto 1Life2Play. Now it's a triple kill for Mr. Steelier Gromp. Has been the crucial factor behind this entire game, and it's just Panute in a 1v5 as 1Life2Play trying to end the game.
That's game right there. Panute's not going to be able to hold this. And my biggest question is what? How? Why would you start a fight there? You had a numbers disadvantage. I was just talking about the fact that they can go with bigger numbers, but when Panute's not there, you can't. And now just picking up Panute to end it here. Rarko comes up, Pursue Greatness comes up, but you're just watching from the steps of your fountain.
Adding the stats here for 1Life2Play. all around the top side, but the bot lane ended up working out at the end. Nexus falls in 25 minutes. 1Life to play to the first game of Risen Divine League.
Grapes, looking at how these teams played here, I don't feel like Onto the Knicks misplayed very much. This just felt like a situation where 1Life2Play knew their win cons and played beautifully to it. If there is one place I'm looking at for Onto the Knicks, it's in their top lane. Because Senor Ice, he ends the game 3-1 and 17, which doesn't sound that impressive. But look at his damage charts. He did the most damage there. He probably tanked the most damage on the team as well. And sure, he didn't get kills, but he got a bunch of assists. He got lane dominance here. And we have to remember, Tom Kench got picked first. Onto the Knicks picked their Renekton after they saw the Tom Kench.
Yeah.
And if this isn't going to work, then maybe you need to ban out that Tom Kench, or maybe you need a different sort of lane, one that isn't expected to necessarily win in that 1v1.
Thing is, RMC, that's just kind of the thing that Senor Ice does up in the top lane. Whether it's on the Tom Kench, whether it's on the Shen, Ornn, even a Kled or Set, doesn't really matter. Just so much sustain. He likes to play this sort of weak style play style and ends up just tanking up a lot of damage, being a huge frontline member for his team. And we saw how well it worked out here in that game 1. As for onto the next, don't think a lot of the micro decisions and the way that they played some of these fights were that bad. I just maybe some of the macro decisions deciding when to go in around some of the dragon timings could be looked at as we head into this next game.
Yeah, for sure here. Just little things which kind of ended up snowballing a little bit to the end. And for 1Life2Play, I love the way their draft worked out, right? They got the comfort. And sure, Boomer didn't look great in lane on that Swain, but in the later fights, he was doing so much damage and he was tanking things. The Seraphine pick really just crowned their comp to me. And I'm looking forward to their draft as well, because it's not like a draft where they went, we want to do this and we're just going to tunnel vision on it. It was a very reactive draft where they saw, okay, we see your Ashe, we see your Leona, we see your Nocturne, and then we're going to counter it with the Set, with the Seraphine here. Maybe we'll see the team swap side. I kind of hope we do here, because I think Onto the Knicks would do well to be able to react to what 1Life2Play is drafting and then try and deal with that a little bit more in the draft rather than trying to adapt on the Rift itself.
Well, on to the next. We know that they like to end the game fast, just not in the fashion that just happened here in the game 1. We'll see if the adjustments are made, and we'll get to that game 3. But before we do that, game 2 champion select will be underway in just a short bit. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll see you then. Welcome back, everybody. We're here with game two here in week one of the Risen Divine League. One life to play had a very dominant game one performance against Onto the Next. And as we head into game two, some slight adaptations here for the champion select. Onto the Next has swapped over to Red Side RMC. I know you're a pretty big fan of this. You wanted to see some adaptation from them here.
Yeah, for sure. And what a way to start the season here, Grapes. That was actually a really solid game one, not only in terms of entertainment, we got to see plenty of bloodshed, but also just how clean One Life to Play was. I was reminded by Twitch chat that basically, I mean, One Life to Play picked up every objective barring the first Herald. And the first Herald didn't matter because I
they
have the Herald.
didn't pick it up.
Exactly. And I have no doubt that this game, if onto the Knicks get Herald, they will pick up the eye. Because I really do think if they got the eye, the game turns out very differently. They accelerate the pace of the game, they get to get more gold, and maybe they contest the dragons a little bit more effectively. But they didn't. It's over, it's done, and One Life to Play were very, very clean. And if this is their game one, I expect them to get cleaner as the series goes on. So I'm very much looking forward to game two. And like you said, Grapes, the fact that onto the Knicks on the red side, they get to counterpick. I need to see changes. They cannot afford to just kind of tunnel vision on their own composition and then not have answers to what One Life to Play wants to do.
I'm expecting that R5 to probably go towards Panute up into the top lane. We know that he's been a focal point around Onto the Next in terms of how they want to play the game, focusing their attention towards that top side. But in the situation that they set up for themselves, Senor Ice on the Tom Kench was just not really that killable for this team. And so as we head into the draft here, probably
Okay.
going to expect some focus around that top side. Starting off in the first set of bans, Graves, Aurelia, Viego, and Vagar, all taken off the table. That big Viego ban going over Mr. Steeler Gromp. Not going to be able to pick that one up this time.
Yeah, and we have to keep in mind onto the Knicks is on red side. They just saw how well Mr. Celio Grump was able to carry the game on the Viego. So I love the adaptation here. And okay, it's a sin ban, apparently the missing ban. So One Life to Play, they kept all their bans the same because why not? They are blue side here. They get first pick. There's no need to change anything up. On to the Knicks. So what has changed is Ziggs and Trundle are now open. Viego and Tom Kench taken off the map and One Life to Play. I didn't think they played the Ziggs bot lane, but it looks like they're proving me wrong as it gets locked in right away.
Yeah, Boomer has some experience onto the Ziggs, not too much, but excited to see how this works out. It just seems like One Life to Play like their AP bot laners. If the Ziggs isn't available, you go for the Swain. And so that seems to be their philosophy as the draft has started off. The response for onto the next will still be that Nocturne. So they don't think that's the problem. Still some early priority onto this Nightmare King.
Yeah, and fair enough. I did not think that Nocturne was the problem at all either. In fact, I think he was a big part of why they were finding early game leads. And even through the mid game here, the Nocturne was extremely impactful. Varus being picked up here from onto the Next is a bit interesting because Ziggs rose to priority, partially because he has really good laning. It's a very good matchup against poke champions like the Varus, against scaling champions like the Aphelios here. So it feels like you're just trying to match the poke from that Ziggs. Not a terrible idea, but you need to do more than just match right now because Ziggs will out damage you later into the game. One Life to Play have changed up their jungler. Viego taken off the board, and we talked about it last game. Diana and Lee Sin are sort of the top tier right now, along with Xin Zhao, along with Viego. So Lee Sin secured and set once again, still a flex pick for One Life to Play.
Yeah, both Senor Ice or Fox could pick that up. Maybe even Neural Network. We'll see what happens there. But there's a lot of interesting things that have been set up here. You have the high range from Ziggs, but then you also have some heavy engage potential here from Lee Sin and Set. I'm excited to see what One Life to Play decide to round out their composition with to make it more, even or more whole, I guess. Leona going to be that R3 pickup for onto the next. One Life to Play is going to be in an interesting situation here as we head into the second phase of bans.
The switch from Ashe to Varus here, I feel like it's in lane, it's going to fulfill the same function. We saw some really good Ashe arrows come out from Rise Go here. Chains of Corruption does the same thing. You layer it into that Solar Flare. I like the idea there, but what I'm a little bit afraid of is that we're still seeing onto the Knicks go with a very similar composition to game one. And what they lacked in that game one was an ability to deal with the back line here of One Life to Play. Maybe a Seraphine ban might be in order here, because if One Life to Play get their hands on Seraphine once again, it's going to nullify this Nocturne, this Leona, and potentially any other sort of dive or aggressive engage that onto the Knicks might be looking for.
Yep, and we'll see what kind of tools they decide to go for in this situation. Heading into the second phase of bans, it is a lot of mid lane priority here, as neither team has locked in a definitive mid laner, so to speak, that Ornn also taken away. Still, that Tom Kench and Ornn taken off the table for Senor Ice means that his champion pool is still a bit limited, but still a lot of abilities for him to pick up some other things. But on to the next, going to be responding with that Shen. So that's 3 champions off of Senor Ice's champion pool list. Trundle will be a response here alongside that Swain. That's an interesting combo here. The Swain and the Ziggs both picked up for 1Life2Play.
Okay, very heavy on the magic damage here from traditionally who have been the carries here for 1Life2Play. And Trundle and Set, still another flex here, Graves. I both love and loathe the fact that they're doing this, because I love the fact that it's flexible, right? Like, you don't know what you're running into. And I actually think Trundle into the Leona, not a bad matchup. And then and Trundle into Shen's not a bad matchup either. For that matter,
Yeah.
Set into Shen's a pretty good one too. So there's so much flexibility here. It's good either way. I love it from 1Life2Play, but I hate in the fact that we're struggling to try and figure out how these lanes are going to go, Graves. I don't know how this one's going to work out. Akali, the R5 lock in for onto the Knicks. And I do like this. This is why I wanted to see Red Side for onto the Knicks here, because they can adapt. And Akali can do fairly well into Ziggs, not early, because range into melee is always kind of rough. But post 6, you have assassination potential. And to me, more importantly here, excuse me, you have a way to dive the backline to look for the squishies. The only issue I have with that is Lee Sin kind of counters Akali, even in Shroud. Set's tanky, Trundle's going to get tanky, and Swain is not likely to get burst down either. So when I get there on this Akali, has to play very, very carefully, very, very measured to be able to go in and have maximal impact without dying.
Yeah, carefully, like the ninja that he has in his hands here for this game too. And on to the next, I like the adaptation that they kind of have here. They see the Ziggs lock in, they go for some heavy engage here. They have the Nocturne Shen combo, which I think is very, very strong. The Akali to dive the backline as well. On the other side, 1Life2Play, they kind of just go for some counter matchups in some of these side lanes, RMC. As you said, the Set and the Trundle, kind of that duo that we don't really know how it's going to work out. I'm expecting to see that Trundle go down towards that bot lane just because it's such a good matchup into Leona, and also because Fox has a whole lot of games on this Troll King. So that's just my guess, but obviously we thought that the Set was going to go top in the last game, and it didn't.
True. And you know what? I'd double down on that with you, Grapes. I do think the Trundle into the bot lane might be a bit of a better matchup here. Not because Set does better into the Shen, but because Trundle into the Varus Leona is more dangerous than the Set into the Varus Leona. Set's going to struggle to reach the Varus, whereas Trundle, you just raise the pillar, and what's Varus going to do? You got to walk away, and that's slow. Very, very potent. Meanwhile, you're going to have a Lee Sin flying into your lane, looking for you there. And if you're moving slow, it's so easy to land that Q, that resonating strike onto the targets, and then just absolutely pop that Varus. So I would like to see the Trundle bot lane. And speaking of that Lee Sin a little bit here, Grapes, 1Life2Play's composition has changed up. Last game, they relied very heavily on that Seraphine to deny the engage coming through. This time, you don't have that option. And Ziggs and Swain are not going to be as good at denying an engage. You can put a lot of damage down while they're coming in on the engage, but you can't really stop it. And the pillar is useful, but look at the amount of spells they have to get past it. Akali, Shen, Leona, Nocturne, all of them just going to ignore the pillar when they're looking for the engage here. So I'm looking at the Set, at the Lee Sin now. Showstopper and Dragon Kick. Can you stop the engage? Can you kick away the engages here? Or can you just grab them, chuck them back into the team? If you can do that, then we might see a bit of a rehash from game 1, where onto the Knicks will struggle to find their ways into the fight against 1Life2Play.
Yeah, it seems like in terms of disengage, 1Life2Play have turned the Seraphine, which is pretty much guaranteed disengage or engage, or however you want to do it, into these single target or not as reliable sets of engage. You have the Trundle pillar, maybe the satchel charge coming out from Ziggs, the Lee Sin, or the Set can kind of yeet someone away with their ultimates, but a whole lot less reliable. And there's just so many members of Onto the Next that are wanting to get in on to these 1Life2Play members, and so it'll be kind of difficult for them to use their disengage tools in the right ways. The synergies are definitely going to have to try and be there.
Yeah, and onto the Knicks as well have opened up their options a little bit. Last game, they had to kind of look for the team fight, right? Like, yes, you've got the Nocturne to win your lanes, and he did his job. but you are still ultimately looking to team fight with a Leona, with an Orianna, with an Ashe. This time, you've got a Shen and a Nocturne. You've got a strong split pusher, and you've got a global. You've got effectively two sort of globals going on for your team here. So if onto the Knicks end up falling behind and not able to team fight quite as effectively, which to be fair is likely to happen against the Swain and the Ziggs, what you can do is you look for that split push. You look to play the macro game. And as much as I praised 1Life2Play's macro game last game here, onto the Knicks were winning in terms of the split push. With the Shen, with the Nocturne, I want to see that continue here. I want to see them drag 1Life2Play over the map and then try and pull them away from the objective. And then they get some dragons, they get some heralds to keep themselves into the game, to keep themselves snowballing here.
Yeah, it's an interesting point you bring up. On to the next, once again, has double globals in their ultimate kits. They have the Shen, they have the Nocturne. It can even be used in conjunction with each other. And we saw how early on in the game, on to the next, we're able to use some of that pressure to get some early leads. They had a 2K gold lead at about 10 minutes. 1Life2Play just was able to try to combat that. They had some of the disengage tools that were necessary, and they were able to close out that game 1. So I think some of the global ultimates are a bit more reliable here for on to the next in the game too. We saw some of the Ashe arrows go wide. Not really possible to mess up a Shen or a Nocturne going in. So it's just a bit of a different sort of global, but they're still globals.
I at least I hope we don't see them mess up because you're kind of point and clicks. And granted, I've done it, but I'm a
Hey,
gold Elo player. These guys,
if you can miss clicking on a herald, maybe you can miss clicking on a champion in the Nocturne. So we'll see.
oh,
I don't know. I don't know.
savage, Grapes, savage, but true. We'll have to see how that goes. And before we even hit that point, Grapes, first question that needs to be answered: can they survive the lane? Because last game, Senior Eyes dominated the lane right from the get-go. When I Get There was actually dominating the mid lane against Neural Network as well. So I want to see if both of these teams, if they can balance, if they can equalize the lanes out and make sure that they don't fall too far behind so that their compositions can actually come online when they're supposed to.
Yeah, we'll see if on to the next have the tools and shut down this train that is pushing down them to a potential first loss in the Risen Divine League. 1Life2Play has come to play. They're up 1-0. Gonna try and make it 2. We'll see what happens after this. Welcome back at Summoner's Rift, everybody. Game 2 is underway here between One Life to Play and on to the next in the Risen Esports Divine League. I'm Grapes, joined here by Random Minion Caster. And off to a quick start is One Life to Play. Gonna try and capitalize on
Oh,
this early game 1 with the
wait,
potential level 1. Wow, look at
what?
all the crowd control. That was a beautiful setup play. Pillar into the dragon from Boomer will secure first blood as when I get there does not get to a good spot, level 1.
I love early game action, Crepes. That wasn't even an invade. 1Life to Play literally A-rammed it. They just sprinted down mid. And to me, this is one of the things when you play against a bot lane who likes to play a little bit off meta. The Trundle Swain is not something we see a lot of in a lot of bot lanes, but you could see how comfortable they were immediately. Pillar pops up when I get there. Instant pull, instant never move, instant kill. And when I get there, even worse, it wasn't even running flash. So if you're that far up the lane with no flash, you get caught by anything, you're dead. And early first blood to this Lee Sin, to Mr. Steal Your Gromp was invading right from the get-go last game. Ooh, on to the next. Pure Pursue Greatness. You're in for a rough one here.
Well, yeah, definitely rough. Early longsword on to Mr. Steeler Grump, who had such an incredible game 1 on the Viego. Just going to be accelerated even further, as both junglers will be starting on the top side to start this game off. They do have vision onto the Lee Sin, so they will know that he is starting on blue buff, but probably won't mean too much. Nocturne, I think, clears just a little bit faster than the Lee Sin, so we'll see what sort of pathing adaptations go through for them.
Yeah, and while Nocturne might clear a little bit faster, he is going to be doing Krugs. So his pathing is actually going to make him slow down a little bit if they are looking for that bottom scuttle or for this bottom lane, especially if Mr. Studio Gromp skips over his Krugs here. And I'm also very worried about an early gank coming from this Lee Sin. Okay, Akali has Ignite, so might be lower, but still has kill threat.
Yeah, definitely scary. Oh, Pillar just misses onto Rysco, but that's definitely a really annoying tool as a support. When you can just throw those pillars off cooldown, just prevent Rysco from moving, even getting any farm. It's been One Life to Play with early presence in this bot side. They get the early push with the first 2 waves, and now in the mid lane, going to try to look for something as well. Neural Network going to flash away. When I get there is dangerously low. The Ignite was used, so no Summoner Spell now available here, but some more action here into the bot side. Rocco is a pretty tanky Leona, so won't die just yet, but Pursue Greatness is a bit in trouble here. Mr. Steal Your Gromp has joined the party. Bouncing Bomb nearly finished him off. And we got to be careful here. Oh, here comes Elise in. Will he get the Sonic Wave? He does. Going forward and picks up second blood onto the Nocturne. Another kill going into this jungler for One Life to Play. And it could be more here in the bot side, but when I get there, has a Shroud. Oh, the E reveals him. Gets the Q through the Shroud, and Mr. Steal Your Gromp is stealing the lives of on to the next in this game.
2 deaths at 3.5 minutes, Grapes. when I get where? The fountain right now? Like, this is just such a brutal lane for this Akali. And normally, okay, if your Akali goes even, it's fine, and then you start winning against the Ziggs later. But that's not going to happen now. Ziggs is a level up here, still has TP.
Oh, this is so sad.
Oh, 3 people. Can they kill him? They have to
want to do something about this. They're sending, when I get there, in onto the TP as well. Going to be feared away. The Shuriken flip does help out Kryzo as he finishes off the kill. First kill of the game going onto the next, as Rysco will pick that one up. Now Pinute misses the taunt under the tower. Senor Ice is just getting heavy prio here, knowing that both the junglers are bot, can just safely pressure Pinute under the tower.
Okay, Grips. I was legitimately scared for a second there that Mr. Steal Your Gromp was going to get out of that. And if he gets out of that after killing 3 people here, pretty much the game's...
It's on to the next.
Pretty, yeah, exactly there. It's GG OTT, yeah. No, at this point, you got the kill. You got the bounty as well. The bot lane, though, was strong. Oh, that pillar was beautiful.
What a pillar coming out from Fox. Ignite already popped. Rysco has to be careful, but here comes the arrow on the Boomer. Flash forward. Rysco gonna secure the kill, and now gonna try to make it another nice flash shield of Daybreak, but Fox with the pressing attack will secure another kill. Senori's coming in onto the teleport. Face breaker forward. Pursue Greatness looking for the Leona. Not gonna be able to find it just yet. And Mr. Steeler Gromp has joined the party. All of a sudden, the numbers are in favor of One Life to Play. And play they shall. The E flash is beautiful, as it's now 5 kills onto Mr. Steeler Gromp.
Nope, we're back. We're right back to Doom. Okay, we're right back to Doom.
Oh
You
man.
killed him. He comes back and he gets a double kill. And guess what's up once again here, Grapes? It's the Infernal Dragon. And there's nobody on the side of Onto the Nyx who's left to defend it here. And 1Life2Play. They're off to the races. And sure, all your kills are on this Lee Sin. And normally it's not great to put all your eggs into the same basket. But if it's Lee Sin here, it's fine. He's going to get around. He's going to be able to influence all the lanes here.
It's gonna be a kind of obscure reference. Maybe it'll make more sense for people that do these sort of casting things. But I feel like I've been saying Mr. Steeler Gromp so much that I'm just like, every time that I look at his name, I'm like, oh, I don't want to say that again. But I just have to say it again because he's just been going so crazy in these 2 games. He's 5 kills in 5 minutes on this Lee Sin, and definitely gonna be really scary moving forward as well.
Yeah, and he's going to just be looking to snowball this here all over the map. All the objectives. Herald coming up in 2 minutes. Dragon in the next 4.5 here. He's going to be looking to secure all of it. And for Onto the Nyx, you need to recover. 1,500 gold doesn't sound like a big gap to look at the time. It's only 6 minutes into the game. That is significant. That is basically a BF sword in somebody's pocket right now. Potentially Mr. Steal Your Gromp's pocket, really.
And Mr. Steeler Gromp.
So you need to kind of calm down and play a bit defensively. Get your vision up, get your wards up, and then wait till Pursue Greatness hits 6. Once that paranoia is online, anywhere you see Mr. Steal Your Gromp, you punish cross map. You go somewhere else instead.
Well, bot lane is going aggressive here. Rarko has had the ignite ticking onto Fox. Boomer getting out pretty safely here, but this is going to be the win condition here for Onto the Next. Rise go onto this Varus with the only 2 kills for his team. We saw how they tried to play towards the Renekton onto Pnut in game 1. Didn't end up working out. Switching sides here, they have the Shen, have a lot of these globals and a lot of the roaming potential on this team to try to help the Varus out.
Yeah, and note that Shen, as you point out, Pnut is level 6. Stand United is available. Pursue Greatness just needs maybe another camp or 2 here, probably about 2 camps before he hits 6 as well. This bot lane is a little bit behind. Normally by now, Pursue Greatness would be 6 and be punishing this bot lane immediately. But because he's behind, if Boomer and Fox can hit 6 first, they're going to be a lot safer against this Nocturne engage. And then Onto the Nyx might actually have to blow both ultimates, both globals to force a play in the bot lane.
Yeah, Pursue Greatness is still about a camp away from hitting that level 6. So they're going to have to path towards the top side to try and finish off the ultimate cooldown. So not the best situation here for this Onto the Next squad. They're now down about 2,000 gold, also down a Dragon, and now that's a Gore Drinker 7.5 minutes into the game on to Lee Sin. So not the best situation here for Onto the Next here.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be killing that Lee Sin anytime soon here unless they throw everything in the kitchen sink at him. But they can afford to do that, right? They do have strong team fighting tools, especially in this bot lane here. So maybe you bait out that Lee Sin into the bot lane and then you look for all the globals, throw it down there. But Herald is up right now, Grapes. And last game, it was Onto the Nyx who did Herald first. They can do it again. Pursue Greatness looking at this top lane here. They don't really have a ton of damage, and Set's kind of risky to try and gank with just a Nocturne and a Shen.
Oh.
If they pull it off, they get Herald as well.
That's a taunt onto the tower. That's a showstopper, though. Big damage. Flash away from the Haymaker.
Get it!
Do it. Always so close, but not going to end up happening. But now the attention has been put towards this bottom side. Nice play coming out from Mr. Steeler Gromp. Rizgo already falls, and with all the attention focused top side for Onto the Next, it's all but simple for 1Life2Play to get another return in the bot side.
Good answer from 1Life2Play, but that is leaving Herald open right now. Onto Nyx are not going for it, though. They're going for the plates here. And I don't know if I agree with this call. I don't know if you're actually going to be able to outrace 3 members, potentially. Oh. Okay, never mind. Mr. Steeler Gromp couldn't even go for the plates. But it's still 2 for 2 right now. It's even, and oh, they don't have enough health to go for Herald now.
Right in the mid lane. Shuriken flip already. Dash forward when I get there. Oh, no! The perfect execution was not so perfect, RMC. Neural Network gets the kill on the failed dive from the Akali, and that's just a feels bad moment. When I get there has now died for the 3rd time.
3 health. Neural Network was down to 3 health because of Ignite, but it just wasn't enough there. And you can't fault when I get there for backing off there. Sure, it wasn't perfect, but it looked like it should have been perfect. Who calculates 3 health?
And when I get there, he didn't actually get the second proc of the ultimate damage. The execute didn't come through, and that probably was what did it. Neural Network was so close to dying there, but just ended up not dying, getting a kill, and just bad goes to worse here for Onto the Next and when I get there.
And look at who's actually doing Herald now. Graves, 1Life2Play. Mr. Celio Gromp gets to control this. And unfortunately, anywhere Mr. Celio Gromp is, onto the next can't contest that particular objective. They kind of have to walk away here. We are seeing some lane swaps as well. They've moved Neural Network to this bot lane because they just want to take the turret with that satchel charge and then rotate him right back to mid. Continue the siege there. Dragons come up in 5 seconds as well. So for 1Life2Play, these rotations are working out almost perfectly from them. I want to point out, after Herald was picked up, Mr. Celio Grump has it.
Did pick it up. So yeah, okay, we're not gonna see a situation like in game one. Those plates will get eaten up by Shelly, hopefully, if everything goes well for 1Life2Play, which has been the case so far for this game and for this series. Now, about 4,000 gold, that dragon is now onto the table, but 1Life2Play does proc the Rift Herald mid, summoning a lot of pressure here. Onto the next, gonna have to make a decision. Do you give up the place or do you give up the drag?
And honestly, for onto the next, I think you give up the drag no matter what. You have no vision, you have no prio here. Oh, they're going to try and contest this. I'm not sure this is the right call here.
Paranoia forward. There's a Stand United onto the Akali. Good disengage from the Satchel. There's a Showstopper behind. When I get there's looking for the back line. Pursue Greatness is the first to fall, though. Another one goes down as Akali falls. Panut is now just running from 4 members of the 1Life2Play squad. Sonic Wave will land onto Ryzko. Do you do it? He does go for it, Mr. Steeler. But it is a decision that sends him to his doom. Ryzko gets a crucial shutdown here, but doesn't matter all too much as the fight goes over to the 1Life2Play team and they pick up the second dragon to boot.
Ryzgo is the only person on Onto the Nyx right now who is pretty much even with his counterpart in Boomer because he's picked up both the shutdowns onto Mr. Steal Your Gromp here. But I do want to point out that not only did they lose the dragon on an ill-advised contest, but they also lost the mid lane as well. You were saying, Grapes, which they defend. They defended neither, and it cost a lot here. 5,500 gold lead for 1Life2Play. And they've taken down the 2 outer turrets. They can just rotate to top. Top only has 3 plates there. It's not terribly healthy. And if Neural Network gets 1 wave, that's all he needs. 1 wave alone with that top lane turret, it's going to be another turret, even more gold, snowballing 1Life2Play. And my question is, on to the next. Where are your answers? Where are your globals? Where are you leveraging your strengths right now? Ryzgo is the only person on parity. You need to play through that Paris.
Yeah, the ultis came through, and they tried to go for that dive, but nobody ended up falling there for 1Life2Play. And now Pursue Greatness might end up being in a little bit trouble here. Nice pillar coming out from Fox. Flash away from the Haymaker. 2 summoners used to save the Nocturne's life. And yeah, that's kind of the problem here. All this onto the next team composition. A lot of the tools that they have set up for them aren't really to protect the Varus. They're more to go in and kill 1Life2Play before they kill them. And so with Ryzgo being the only one that is really strong on this team, it's going to be pretty difficult for him to stay alive if the rest of the team is dashing forward. But teleport's coming through onto the next, looking for a play. The lights have been turned off. And they're looking for the Ziggs. Neural Network might be in a bit of trouble. The Inferno Bomb does so much damage. The kickback will try and get when I get there away from Mr. Steeler Gromp. There's a solar flare. They're going to try to fight this 1v2. Mr. Steeler Gromp is pretty healthy, though. Oh, man, if that last Q proc went through, that Akali was dead. A beautiful Shield of Daybreak coming out of Rarko to secure another kill into the lead.
And once again, really good macro from 1Life2Play to match that. The gank topside had to happen. They needed to punish it. They needed to find something. But 1Life2Play says, okay, you're going top. We'll continue pushing bot lane. And they get a turret to boot. This time, there's no bounties to take off of Mr. Studio Grump or Neural Network. So, at 1 for 2 and turret, not exactly worth it right now. The silver lining here for that unfortunate trade is that the kills went onto the Akali. When I get there, it's starting to scale. And he's the one who can potentially turn the tides. If he can get the assassinations down quick enough, if maybe they can win some fights with uneven numbers.
6,000 is the gold lead here for 1Life2Play as the turret plates fall. That's the power of having a Ziggs on your team. Also the power of having a 7-kill Lee Sin on your team. But and either way, it's just the tools that 1Life2Play set up for themselves in this draft have been working to perfection. Every team, every player seems to be in the lead or doing their job to keep their team in a very solid state. And they are looking really dominant. I know that we haven't seen too much from Onto the Next, but 1Life2Play is showing why they made their way into the UML finals last week.
Oh, for sure right now. And this is actually a bit of a dicey. This is the scariest situation. The
Oh,
potentially as Showstopper comes out.
yeah, good ultimate to try and disengage, but is sending two members in with Pursue Greatness and Canute running after the set. Nice disengage coming out from Senior Ice to save his life.
Grapes, I was gonna say this is good. That's dangerous situation for 1Life2Play because the lanes are getting extended here. They can get picked. They can overextend and get punished. But we just saw Senior Ice overextend, and they could not punish him. That is dangerous.
Oh, big engage coming through from onto the next. They're going to
Oh
try and lock
no!
him down before that set comes back, but it's not going to work. Double kill for Boomer, and he's at full HP. Dashes forward with the Dynamite session. A triple kill for the Swain. Looking for more as Panute's at low
Oh,
HP. Mr. Steeler Gromp will finish it off. The final chop from Fox, who, by the way, is building a Divine Sunderer on the support trundle. The ace comes through for 1Life2Play. 5 for 0. 15 minutes in. Is looking incredibly over.
hey, is that really a support trundle? He's got more kills than his mid and top laner right now. Higher KP as well. So he wants to build Divine Sunderer. He's allowed to 16-minute inhibitor grapes. Freak just put out a video about how,
Yeah.
maybe taking inhibs early, not always the best call. But when it's 16 minutes in, yeah, you take it. Because now you've got supers pushing in. You get full control of the map. 5 minutes is how long it takes for inhibs to respawn. You get control over Baron as well. And
Oh,
the
beautiful kick. Mr. Steele, your Gromp kicking in the Leona. Rarko is not long for this world. Boomer goes godlike on the Swain. And yeah, about the inhibitor, Freak, he said that, inhibitors could be bad if, you can't end the game in the next 5 minutes. But at the state of the game, 1Life2Play is at, they have a very good chance to do so.
Yeah, and the other thing that we have to keep in mind too is that you've got a comp that wants to siege. You have the Swain, you have the Ziggs. Both of these guys will happily sit at a turret, siege it up. Bot lane turret just needs one more satchel charge. And giving up one inhib,
Boom, boom, boom,
boop. There we go. If you take one inhib, sure, minions are streaming in. You take two inhibs, and sure, minions are streaming in, but onto the Nyx don't get to leave their base, and it just becomes a matter of time before they lose that top inhib as well. Supers are so strong at this point in the game that one person can't effectively clear it. They need two to handle two waves pushing in at the same time.
It just forces onto the next to just be in specific locations at specific times. And if 1Life2Play can utilize those timings correctly, can put themselves in an even bigger lead. And we'll see if they're able to close this game out within that span. We're at the point where Baron has not even spawned, even though that inhibitor has gone down. So you can't even use that, taking those super minions to pressure the Baron. Instead, it's Mr. Steeler Gromp picking up the second Rift Herald of the game. Going to try and look presumably towards that top side to finish off the rest of the outer structures that Onto the Next still have available.
Grapes, the high percentage play right now for 1Life2Play is you siege top, you drop shell, you push in, and maybe you send Neuro to the bot side to take that inhibitor. But I don't want the high percentage play right now. I want to see Shelly dance. I want to see them hold it and drop it at the end. Because I think they can actually do it at the rate they're going here. Good arrow from Rise Go here. They have lost all control. They've lost all vision. So using those arrows to try and scout out is important. Is going to save them for now. But last inner turret goes down here, and the last inhib is about to get sieged.
They just can't do anything. It's so suffocating. Onto the Next are just trapped under their base, and it just seems like wherever 1Life2Play go, Onto the Next just have to run away. They're gonna proc that Rift Herald now into this top side, and I think the Rift Herald plus the Satchel Charge just immediately takes down the turret. We'll see if they end up using that synergy here. There's the one, there's the two, the alley, the oop, and now nice come off. There goes the ultimates forward, but Pursue Greatness falls before Canute can even come forward to Stand United. When I get there, picks up one onto the Ziggs in return, but he will most certainly fall after that. Another kill going over to Shelly dies. No dancing for him, but it's going to be 1Life2Play dancing onto the graves of Onto the Next. A quick 2-0 in less than 20 minutes. It's going to be this squad onto the Nexus, and on 1Life2Play will take the first series of the Risen Divine League.
I'm in shock right now, Grapes. I was not expecting to see a sub 20-minute game in opening week. This was a masterclass by 1Life2Play. And it feels like both games had a big mistake, which really turned the tides. Game 1 was not picking up Herald. Game 2 felt like it happened at 1 minute. Akali just getting caught and Mr. Studio Gromp getting that one kill really felt like that was what tilted the entire game in favor of 1Life2Play, because we already saw that Mr. Studio Gromp on Diego gets a lead. he'll just be invading you all day long. You give it to him on a Lee Sin, who is an early game jungler, and he was just punishing, got the second kill onto the Akali, 3 minutes, 30 seconds. I still remember 2 deaths in that time.
Yeah.
Mid lane was done, mid lane was won, and Mr. Steelio Grom getting the double kill after dying in the bot lane immediately after as well. He ends the game 10, 4, and 8. I mean, tonight, he's got to be my clear MVP.
Oh, obviously MVP. You have the Lee Sin performance in game two, the Viego performance in game one. Just such great play coming out from Mr. Steely Gromp and the rest of One Life to Play. And part of that, I would say, goes down to the way that they played the macro. I mean, this is a team that have played together for quite a long time. They've had
Mhm.
two sets of bot lane duos in their team. And so it just shows how dominant they've been throughout UML, and their synergy definitely it shown through against a probably similarly matched team in terms of rank, but a team that has not had the same level of experience together.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you bring that up because on to the Knicks here. This is their first showing, right? Pardon me. This is the first time they're working together as a team here,
Yeah,
and they already showed some really good signs of life. The the idea was there. Their drafts were solid, and we saw the Nocturne, the Shen. They had their influence. Go and Rarko in this bot lane duo who have worked together before, continue to be a really solid duo. It wasn't as
yeah.
if they were losing their lanes. They just need more time to gel together. And while week one has been rough for them, it's been a bit of a rough ride and a rude awakening. I can see this team potentially making playoffs. I can see them scaling up really, really quickly here. And you know what? Failure is the mother of success. I have no doubt that onto the Knicks, the next time we see them on stream, they will be much, much more cohesive and they'll be putting forward a much better showing.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I got from the coach Mystic when I talked to him earlier today about
Mhm.
how he thinks the trajectory of this team is going to go. Said there might be some struggles at first, so some of the synergies might not be there, but eventually they'll work together, go towards that heavy engaged playstyle that we saw in game one. We saw glimpses of it working out, especially in the early game of this first game this series, but he definitely expected them to really shine through as the season moves on. And that's the beauty here of Divine. We got plenty more weeks to come, plenty more games to come. And as they say, it's just on to the next for them.
Yeah, and for 1Life2Play, I mean, as today's champion, I have to keep harping on this because it just shocks me. Sub 20-minute game, man. Come on. Opening week. This is notice for the entire group to just sit up and pay attention to this team here.
Yeah.
They right now are looking like the team to beat. They are incredibly clean. They are looking set to maybe even win UML as well this coming week here. And they don't have a weak point. Senior Ice won lane both times. Neural Network went down in CS the first game, but still had huge impact. And in game two here, once you give that Ziggs a lead, was an integral part in just taking those turrets so quickly here. It's sub 20 minutes because of the Ziggs just destroying all your turrets and Boomer on this Swain. It's so painful to watch here. Fox looked great, but it's the combination of Fox and Boomer on Swain that's looking absolutely disgusting here. And of course, the MVP for the night, Mr. Steal Your Gromp, what can't he play, right? Two different champions look just as good on each of them. And they're not even the champions that he necessarily played the most. There's still Shin Sao. There's still Lilia potentially coming up in his champ pool. Diana, I'm sure he plays quite a bit of it as well, being one of the meta champions. You can't ban him out. And teams need to start planning, how do we deal with this hyper-aggressive early game jungler?
Yeah, that's a question that many people in this group will have to try and guess. And One Life to Play, they look super strong and they're going to try to continue that success as we go forward in Risen Divine League. And that's going to do it here for our first week of coverage. We'd like to thank all of you for tuning in. And even though there's a lot of very important high stakes games going on in other areas, I mean, we're just glad you're here with us watching some really great games. RMC, anything you want to say before we close out the show?
Thanks to Grapes for co-casting me and our producer behind the scene here, Vanessa. They've been doing a great job quietly just getting all the plays on screen. And thanks to all you viewers for watching. It's been a blast. Back with Divine. Thanks for joining us week one.
That's going to be it for us. We'll see you next week with more Divine League action.